Hello YouTube. In today's video I'm going to show you how I made this awesome night bus ticket and how you can make your own. And if you don't want to get crafty but still want one, I'll show you how that's possible too. Plus I've got an awesome surprise for you a little bit later. It's getting closer and closer. Something wicked this way comes for this Prisoner of Azkaban make, so let's start right after this. Hello everyone, welcome back to Real World Magic, where we make your life more magical. My name is Neil Trigger, I'm going to be your magical host, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about how I made this awesome night bus ticket. And for those of you who don't know, the night bus is emergency wizarding transport that carries Harry Potter in the third book and film from Privet Drive to the Leaky Cauldron in London after he blows up his aunt. Now, I don't have an aunt nearby, but I can always explode my mother-in-law.
I think it's brilliant.
So let's start by laying all the things out that we need to make this awesome ticket. And don't worry, I've linked all of the stuff that you'll need down in the description. And if you don't have all of this stuff, or even any of this stuff, or it's too expensive, or you can't be bothered to make it yourself and you still want a completed one anyway, you can always head on over to my Etsy store, and the link is down in the description, as I said before. So you can pick up a completed one and you don't have to do anything. We're using this Cricut cutting machine today, and I bought mine a couple of weeks ago and I've been playing with it ever since. It's absolutely awesome. It allows you to upload pretty much any design. I designed this one myself, and using different various nibs, each sold separately unfortunately, you're able to do some pretty impressive stuff. Firstly, I think we need to lay out the materials for this project. We need a fairly heavy cardstock. I just bought this one from Hobbycraft. I then went ahead and bought some from Etsy thinking it was a different colour because it looked a different colour on screen, and it wasn't a different colour. It's exactly the same, so that's fine. Don't worry about it. You can buy it from either place, and I've linked them both down in the description. Just so you know, Hobbycraft is not the cheapest, but their range is pretty good and it's fairly cheap. So it can at least get you started, and if you're only making one ticket, I'd probably go to Hobbycraft because it's easier. Equivalents might be Michael's in America, I don't really know, I'm just guessing. Later I got some card from Etsy, as I said, and I'll put all the links down in the description to absolutely everything. You're going to need purple and black if you want to do it like me. Now you need to be able to attach the card to a cutting mat, and the cutting mat should come with your Cricut. Just peel off the protective stuff and it's sticky. Now I'm going to be using the Cricut Maker because that's the only model that uses all of these tools that I've got, and I appreciate that is a few £100, so if that's too much for you, I've got completed tickets again down in the description. Next you'll need the foil, and these come in sheets sold separately again, tape to stick it down to the card, and foiling tips. I use the fine, medium and bold tips, and the good news is that you get all of the foil sheets, tape and tips for the foil in the foil transfer kit from Cricut, and again the link is in the description. Next, to make it look authentic, I bought a perforation tip. That needs to use the quick swap housing, and so I bought that too. Now I couldn't find the perforation tip on its own, so I bought a debossing tip to go with the quick swap housing, but I know that I'm going to use a debossing tip for another project anyway, so that's fine. Last but not least, in terms of tips anyway, you're going to need something called a fine point blade, and this is what cuts the ticket out itself. It comes with a Cricut Maker, so you don't need to buy that separately. That's the only thing that you don't need to buy separately, which is good. Then you're going to need a file. I've linked the SVG file that I used in the description. I designed it myself. It's £3.50 on my Etsy store down there. Patrons and members get this for free too, so check your inboxes. And if you want to be a member or a patron, you can join either of these two things just by visiting the links down in the description. To mount the ticket inside the frame, obviously you're going to need glue or something like that, and the frame itself. Okay, so to make it, you open the software that you use with all Cricut projects. It's called Design Space, and it comes with the Cricut. You can download it separately so you can play with it beforehand if you want. Then you go to upload the SVG file. I know that doesn't make a huge amount of sense because you've already downloaded it. Why would you upload it? But you upload it to the cloud and then you download it again into the software. Bit of a weird way of doing it, I know, I get that. This is the cutting file that I designed, and it has each part of the completed image designed in such a way that each element tells the Cricut to do different things. Just click on Make It in the software and I'll talk you through it. Over at the cutting mat, you lay down the cardboard and you use a brayer, something like this roller that I've got, just to stick it down. I'm using a light grip mat here, but to be honest, any cutting mat should be fine. I like the light grip mat because it allows me to unload finished tickets without bending them too much, so they look good. Once that's loaded and oriented to the top left corner of the cutting mat, you're going to need to load on a sheet of foil. Now before you do, it's probably a good idea to move the grip wheels out of the way of the foil so that they don't put a line down your finished ticket. That will make it look rubbish. This can be done in gold or silver or any other colour, frankly, provided that you're happy with it. And I think they do a pink and maybe a green, possibly a blue as well now. I'm not going to bother getting too fancy with it, so I'll just stick to the silver for this one. Now, to make sure it doesn't gum up the machine and it transfers nicely, you need to stick the foil sheets down. This can be a bit of a nightmare, so here are some tips that I learned the hard way that should help you with it. First of all, lay the foil sheet as flat as you can without anything on it, and then start with the long edge furthest from you. Using the tape strips included in your kit, peel off one at a time and stick down the long edge first, and here's how. If you just go for it, you'll probably mess it up because this foil is covered in plastic and the tape builds up a static charge as well. This means that the foil hops to the tape. They're actually attracted through electromagnetic force. So pull the tape tight, really dead tight, and then hover it over the top edge of the foil. So the foil will just jump that last centimetre or so remember that and use it to your advantage. Next you need to go for the opposite side, and it doesn't matter too much which side you start from, but try to do opposites and pull the foil as tight as you can. Try to avoid any wrinkles though. Now normally I make 3 in one go, but that has its challenges and it doesn't always work. So for your ticket, you're probably only going to want 1, maybe 2, just do 1 at a time. It'll make your life so much easier. Now over in Design Space, load the SVG file and click Make It. Follow the instructions, and when it comes to material, you're going to want metallic poster board. And I know that this card isn't metallic poster board, but just trust me, it works, and I'll explain all of that in just a minute. You also want to change the pressure to more, and this is mainly for the foiling, and it's also why I chose metallic poster board in the first place, because it makes sure that you get the right settings for the foil, but also for the perforation and for the final cut. The Cricut knows from the design that there are a lot of passes that this machine has to do. It starts out with the fine tip foiling tip nib thing, so make sure you have that tip with the single band around it, and all that's loaded into the Cricut. Load the mat, and when you're ready, click on the Cricut logo, Make It button. After about 5 minutes of doing the fine foiling, the screen will pop up with a message like this, taking you through the next steps. So all you need to do is to take out the fine tip and replace it with the medium tip. Load it all in again, click the Make It button on the machine, and repeat for the bold tip. Now here comes the important changeover. So once you've done all the foiling, this is the difficult bit. It's not really difficult, but you do need to do it in the right way. The Cricut will tell you this anyway, so just take it slow, read everything. You absolutely must take off the foil at this point, and if you don't, it could mess up absolutely everything, because the blade will cut the card and the foil will come up with it, and it could start to throw the foil about, and at the very least make it look rubbish, and at the very worst get jammed in your shiny new cutting machine, and you do not want that. It could wreck everything. So swap out the foil tool for the rotary perforation tip at this point as well, and if you don't already have one or you don't want one, you can always edit the SVG file before you get to this point. So before you click on Make It, just deattach and then delete the perforation line, then reattach everything and then click on Make It, and then follow the instructions from the beginning. Okay, so the perforation tip is loaded and the foil's gone. Great. Click that Cricut button again and it will punch little holes in your ticket, and we're nearly done. Final tip now. Unload the perforation tip and load the fine tip blade. Now this is why we chose metallic poster board in the first place, because we want it to pass through the card twice so that we get a nice clean cut. I tried various materials with countless tests. This is the one that I recommend, and it'll pass through twice, but that's okay. Just don't unload it when it pauses for the second pass. Be patient because you're almost there. Okay, it's all done. Now we just need to unload the machine, and this is where you could come across some other problems. So it's done now, you can turn it off if you like, and now is the time to unload. So put the mat upside down. This is important, so bend the mat away from the card, rather than the other way around. This way the card stays fairly flat and it makes it look so much nicer, more professional, much nicer when it's done. Now with the frames that I bought, they're 10 by 15 centimeters on the inside, so I cut these little rectangles using the same setting as before, so metallic poster board and more pressure. I managed to get 3 out of 1 A4 card. I used black to really set off the purple of this ticket, and I glued it on using the glue stick. Frame it all up and Bob's your uncle. Unless of course Bob isn't your uncle and you've only got a maiden aunt called Marge that you want to blow up. At least you've now got a ticket to the night bus. So there you have it, one awesome framed night bus ticket. Now I know that was a little bit complicated and potentially an expensive make today, so if you just want to buy the ticket, check it out on my Etsy store and the link is down in the description. Now, if you like this video, please click on that like button to let me know that you did like it and comment down below to let me know what you think. Do you have any other ideas for tickets? I was thinking of doing a whole series, and I've got the Hogwarts Express and the Polar Express already done, and I'm working on the Beaubaton carriage, the Durmstrang ship, and even tickets to the Quidditch World Cup Final 2. So let me know what else I could do. Also, a massive shout out to my amazing patrons and members. These guys are fantastic, so I know you're watching. Hello. You guys make these kinds of videos possible, and particularly thanks to Chivalrous Tube and Katie Christensen, both of whom have helped me creatively with this one. They also offer their advice and encouragement, not just those two, but also all of these people. They're brilliant. Also, huge thanks to my wonderful mother-in-law, who I do actually love dearly, and I wouldn't want to blow her up. Promise. She's given me plenty of ideas too, so thanks to her. I also want to mention something very quickly. It's very, very exciting, and I can't really tell you too much about it. So I'm approaching 8,000 subscribers now, and I'm going to be doing something that I've never done before. It's a massive, massive giveaway, only to people who are subscribed to my mailing list. You can go to realworldmagic.net, scroll down to the bottom, the very, very bottom please, of this page, and sign up there, and then you won't miss anything. I have had people submitting blank testimonials because they're not scrolling far enough, so scroll right to the bottom. It's the final form on that homepage of realworldmagic.net. Now, talking of which, please consider subscribing to this channel, and if you do, click that bell button and you'll be informed next time I go live or upload anything. Talking of next time though, I will be back next time with some more magical awesomeness, but until next time, as always,
Stay magical! Please subscribe to Real World Magic. While you're there, click the bell button to be notified of future uploads, and have a look at all of my social stuff. Remember to donate on Patreon if you really, really liked it, and I'll see you again next week.